Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, everyone. Hope everyone is well. This is our first online podcast, first of many, inshallah. And we're going to be speaking about many of the issues regarding within the Ummah, especially when it comes to marriage, relationships, divorce, gender roles, all the isms, feminism, so on and so forth. And this is our first one, inshallah. So I'm going to bring in my brother, the founder of MFSF, Ahmed Raidan. Here he is. Assalamu alaikum, my bro. How you doing?
What's up, bro? Okay, I'm well. How are you?
Yeah, alhamdulillah, not too bad. Alhamdulillah.
Good.
Let's just get straight into it. We're going to react to this video, inshallah, but let's play the video first.
Okay.
Something really worrying in our community is how when the couple have a problem, they have a quarrel, they have an argument, they're living separately, they have a divorce, why do they weaponize the children? Do they not know that for the child to have access to both parents is from his basic rights? For the child to have access to both mum and dad despite divorce, is from the key instructions of Islam. Salatul Rahim, maintaining ties of kinship, and Birrul Walidain are fara'id, obligatory. And so now, if any of the two parents sever and support the severing of ties of kinship between a child and his or her parent, then you, my brother, my sister, are doing a major sin. You are facilitating, encouraging, enforcing a major sin. Yes, quarrels happen. Yes, marriages break down. Yes, you may live separately. Yes, you may need to have a divorce. But the children are innocent. They need to have access to both parents where, of course, it's possible, where there isn't abuse, where it is possible to facilitate. Please take heed, brothers and sisters, and make sure that this is not happening. Make sure children are not being weaponized in divorce. Jazakumullah khairan.
Right. I'm just going to jump straight in here, bro. Firstly, credit to Shaykh for talking about the subject. There's not enough people talking about it. And he's got one bit right. It is a major sin. And he needs, personally, I'd like him and all the ulama to really emphasize how big a sin this is. If you were drinking alcohol, took it to a bacon sandwich, that's far less a sin than actually breaking up the ties. So, again, I think this really, as a society, as an ummah, we really need to understand that anybody that's withholding access from a child from the other parent, or the other parent from a child, you're committing a major sin. And again, he's taken that kind of neutral position where he's trying to sort of speak to both demographics in the men and the women. But we know we're at the front line of this. It's 99.999% of the time it's the women, the sisters, that are doing this to brothers. Yeah, there's maybe 100%. That 0.001% of men doing it, but majority of the times it's the sisters that are doing this, that they're using the political system, the legal system, to do this, to oppress men. And the sheikh should really sort of step up and call that out and lay it at the sister's door.
No, 100%. I mean, if I can just say, look, like me growing up and seeing, non-Muslim men dressing up as superheroes, Batman, Superman, hanging off buildings. I can very good remember this. And, then I came to know that these were fathers of justice. So first and foremost, like, this is a issue that's affected even non-Muslims across the board. And the fact that men started these campaigns, Fathers for Justice, shows again, just to add to it, that it is, women that are doing this to men, and that men and fathers in general, they are somewhat handicapped, to fight against this. But the fact that this has been going on for decades, as I said, I was a kid when I saw these protests, on the news. And sad to say as it is, now that we have social media, now we do have a voice, we are somewhat bringing it to attention. But the reality is, even within Muslims, it's been happening for decades too.
This pandemic is just getting bigger, bro. Look, just take our group for example. We started off in about 2019, 2020, around that time. We started off with 4 people in a group. Now we're hitting over 1,000 people. And every week, and that's with people coming and getting through their cases. Then they're just like, right, I need to get out of this because it's such a tough environment. It's a tough thing to go through. So but we still have like people coming to us asking us for help. And these are all Muslim men. We mainly cater for the Muslim men because for the Muslim experience of this is we have it the same as other men and worse because I'll say this, Muslim men are the most exploited in our society. We're exploited by the political class. Even now we're just recently seeing, I'm going to kind of go a little bit off tangent here, but you're seeing that the whole Pakistani thing up north, the grooming gangs and stuff, despite the fact that the majority of these people that do this sort of stuff are white, but they want to focus in on the Pakistani men simply because of the Muslim moniker, right? Because you think of Pakistani, you think of Muslims. And that's why they've targeted this particular thing. And you see the language that's being used, backward cultures and all of this sort of stuff. Then you go from there. I saw this report from one of these dating app things, and they had a pecking order of desirable men, and top of the tree were, I think, more white men were top of the tree. Then below that were black men, but then that might be sort of flipping and changing. Then way down became Asian men and men from the Indian subcontinent, and then I think that below us were Far Eastern men. So we got it worse there. Then now, even in the Ummah now, Muslim men, we've got this. I don't know if you've seen this trend recently, where you got a whole bunch of like Pakistani women, Bangladeshi women, Indian women. The thing I'm not going to do at my Indian wedding, Bangladeshi wedding, Pakistani wedding is marry a Pakistani guy, Bangladeshi guy, or an Indian guy. That they're going to marry this other race, like they've done achieve something great in their life, proper self-loathing sort of stuff. But then equally, another aspect of exploitation is Muslim women are exploiting Islam or using Islam to exploit Muslim men.
Sorry to cut off. Like I knew you said you're going to go for a tangent, but I got to stop you because I want to elaborate on these points, and we're going to have more videos I'm going to react to. But I don't want to lose the focus on the video, where it's unfortunate that you gave credit to him. MashaAllah, the Shaykh spoke about this haram act, but it's still kind of dumbing down and almost like devaluing what's happening on the ground, as you said. Why is it that even amongst the ulama, maybe apart from one or two, which again in the future we'll bring them in on our show, inshallah, that they just can't be so explicit and blatant to say that the majority of this haram behavior, this haram act, is done by sisters. And it's always like, as you said, they're trying to be impartial. Why not just say it how it is? Fathers for Justice was started by men. I don't see no women, dressing up as, superheroes, protesting, I can't see my kid. Because, as I said, we're not denying it doesn't happen. But the fact is, it's men that are suffering from this. And going back to what you said before, like, you wanted the Shaykh to speak about how dangerous and how bad it is. I mean, I've got the hadith right in front of me. Mm-hmm. The Messenger of Allah ﷺ said, the one who severs his family ties will not enter paradise. Yeah. And let's just let that sink in. Because sometimes this is what I personally feel happens a lot. Whether it's a bayan or khutbah, social media, someone giving a speech, we don't take the time to let something really hit home and internalize. Let me repeat this again. The one who severs his family ties will not enter paradise. I mean, this is in Bukhari. Whoever wants to question it, one of the source Bukhari and Sahih Muslim. And when hadith is recorded by two of these books, it's called Muttafaqun alayh. Basically, just to emphasize how authentic it is. I mean, how blatant can you get than this?
Well, so let's just explore that for a second there, bro. So Just repeat the hadith again.
The one who severs his family ties will not enter paradise.
So let's take that into a real world scenario. So let's just say a son has severed the ties from his father. That means this person, this man, this boy, this man is not going to enter paradise. He can pray, he can fast, charity, 5 pillars, everything, Hajj, all that stuff. But even then, he's still not going to enter.
Yeah, I mean, look, I need to. I would probably say this is where in the future we'd like to have ulama on our show. Yeah. But look, there is the side of where Allah's doors are always open for repentance. So I guess again, Allah knows best, and again, I hope we can maybe in the future clarify this. But if someone dies in that state, we have to see Allah knows best who's ultimately going to be in Jannah and Jannah, who's going to ultimately enter paradise or not. But let's just kind of like let this sink in that. And take it on of what it is, to not enter paradise because you've severed your family ties. As you said, it's a massive thing. And as you said, you could be praying, you're fasting, going Hajj, but the emphasis is there that Islam promotes bloodline. It promotes the protecting your progeny, your silatul rahim, basically, your blood ties. Mm-hmm. And to sever that, and someone who plays a big part in severing that, I wouldn't want to be in that position.
Well, let's take a look from another direction now. So now we know all these women that stop this, and what's the thing that they use? What do they use? The domestic abuse angle, yeah. Right? And they say that we want to protect the children. So you love these children and you want to protect them, but what you're doing is driving them to the doors of hell, or the gates of hell.
Yeah, potentially.
How do you say that you love and want to protect these kids?
Yeah, I think you missed the point there. What we're trying to say, basically, they're trying to protect them, and in that they brainwash them to such an extent that the child doesn't want to see the father.
Bro, we know it goes on. We've seen it. Right, we've all experienced it. Myself have experienced this firsthand. You have seen elements of it, and we've seen the hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of brothers where the children are just there. How's an 8-year-old child going to detect this, that, the other? That my dad's a bad guy, and he did this to my mum, and all of these things. Right? Then you have a system that's totally exploitable. That totally and utterly promotes this false narrative sort of stuff. So again, and the sad aspect of it is we have Muslimah who pray, fast, zakat, hajj, all that stuff, that are just so willing to jump into this.
Yeah, if you don't mind, bro, can you bring the video back in again, because I want to pause it. There's a couple of things I wanted to kind of elaborate on myself, actually. Can you bring this back? Yeah.
Something really worrying in our community is how when the couple have a problem, they have a quarrel, they have an argument, they're living separately, they have a divorce, why do they weaponize the children? Do they not know that for the child to have access to both parents is from his basic rights?
Yeah, so as I was watching this, watched it a few times, there's layers and there's angles to this, bro. I mean, some of it is basic, but again, we have to point it out. Who the hell told you, and again, let me say it like this, to the father and the mother. But I'm going to speak to the mothers, especially because, as I said, we're not going to shy away from this and say how it is. Who the hell told you that child is yours? As it's yours. Have you forgotten that it's an amanah from Allah? Nothing belongs to us. Nothing belongs to us. We don't own anything in this life. We ourselves are nothing, and as the Quran mentions, was there not a time when your name wasn't even mentioned? So when we start off with ourselves, we are nothing, but now suddenly we're in a position, and these sisters are in a position where they have children. And let me really go deep into this. How was that child produced? You didn't produce that child by yourself. There was a means. And who was that means? That was your former husband, So at least acknowledge that you couldn't have had that child by yourself. And secondly, that child is an amana. It's not yours. So who the hell are you to now use this blessing from Allah, this innocent child or innocent children, to your advantage? And again, look at the word being used in this video, which is correct, weaponized. You're using the children as a tool, as a weapon. And the Shaykh asked the question, why are children being used? And again, there's going to be many answers, but one of the main ones is it's just revenge. It's vengeance.
Yeah.
And like I said, let me just put it into a sentence like this here and let it sink in. I'm going to use something which is an amana, which isn't mine, to get back another human being who helped me produce this child because it makes me happy to torture them. How twisted can a person get?
Well, also the aspect of to gain financially, right, or to use the system, So we see things like you withhold access, then you take, and even worse, right? Another big major sin. You take them to court to take their wealth, to get the house, to get the pension pot, to get the assets, which is a major sin. And we see this this little streak where the women are justifying it. Oh, it's his duty to provide, and this, that, the other. Yeah, but it doesn't mean he has to give to you. Provide it and taking are two different things.
No, of course. Again, each of those points you mentioned, but sorry to kind of cut you off here. We're going to really kind of elaborate on those points because there are so many other videos that are coming up. But again, I just don't want to lose the focus on this video because again, this one video has layers to this. And if I can just finish off the video again, there's another point that came into mind. One second.
For the child to have access to both mum and dad despite divorce, okay, is from the key instructions of Islam. Salatul Rahim, maintaining ties of kinship, and Birrul Walidain are fara'id, obligatory. And so now, if any of the two parents sever and support the severing of ties of kinship between a child and his or her parent, then you, my brother, my sister, are doing a major sin.
Yeah, so the part where you mentioned that whoever supports in this behavior, and with this, I'm sure we can have a whole list. In most cases, let's say we said, majority of the sisters are doing this. They're also complicit. It's her family. It's her parents. It's her dad. It's her mom. It's her brothers. It's her sister. It's her toxic friends. And again, just going by, we have to refer everything back to the Quran and Sunnah. There's a hadith which, the nearest meaning, whoever assists someone in sin, they get a portion of it. Like, do these people, they have no fear, there's a whole kind of domino effect of people accumulating sin just by encouraging someone to do wrong. Everyone plays a part in this.
I'm just going to remove this for a second, bro. But it comes down to this as well. Again, people don't see this as a major sin. Even the way the Shaykh spoke there, he's not really drumming in that the severity of this sin.
Yeah, no,
listen,
exactly.
So he says it's obligatory for you to maintain ties with your family.
Yeah,
right.
And again, just quickly, had he mentioned the hadith which you mentioned earlier on, the one who severs his family ties will not enter paradise. I mean, again, just to kind of give the Shaykh the benefit of the doubt. I get it. So these are short videos, so on and so forth. But as you said, not enough is being made. I mean, a question comes to mind, bro. Imagine we see a video of a sister crying her eyes out on screen, say, I've not seen my child for 2 weeks because my ex-husband has taken him away from me. Do you think that sister will get more clout, more exposure, more sympathizers than us men?
Absolutely. Listen, go across your social medias, right, and go look at stories by sisters that they've left abusive relationships, that they're doing this, that, the other, and you'll see the comments, of support, you slay, all that stuff, and nobody says, hold on a second, what's the other side of the story? What's that guy? What's his story? Like maybe you're the toxic one. Nobody says, oh, there's two sides to a story and stuff. But the moment a man does that, If you got the sister crying, oh, that, this, that, the other, right? Everybody will go in there. Oh, this is haram. This, that, the other. In Islam, this. They'll do all of that stuff. If a man does it, you'll get the sisters, and it will be the sisters because the sisters are the most prolific in this environment, in the social media environment. This is why you have all simpy imams and types pandering to them because that's where the payload is. But you get all these sisters then saying, "Oh, she must have had good reason. There must be two sides to a story." Making excuses for this, and that's the landscape. That is the landscape. When men tell their stories, there must be a reason why that they were this, that, the other. The woman can do no wrong. Women don't lie. Women don't oppress. Women are wholesome and pure.
It's as we said before, it's hashtag believe all women. But it's a very, very powerful point you mentioned there, bro. I'm sure we're going to bring this in time and time again. This whole concept of hearing two sides of the story. Again, we can't always we have our opinions, but at the end of the day, we have to go back to the Quran and Sunnah. This verse is the Quran. Okay, it's going to translate. O believers, if an evildoer brings you any news, verify it, so you do not harm people unknowingly, becoming regretful for what you have done. I mean, just to elaborate on that verse, and we see it, the harms of hearing one side of the story. The guy's he's guilty, executed by the jury before he's even given a chance to speak. And we see the fitna created by hearing one side of the story. No one verifies it. And I'm sure, again, we're going to watch some stuff later on, as an upcoming podcast where just by commenting and calling people out, comments get deleted. Just by asking simple questions, and it's very easy. When you see a female sister crying, saying stuff, is very believable. Once upon a time, even myself. But as you said, seeing family, members go through this issue, aunties not seeing their nieces and nephews, uncles, grandparents, then you can relate to it. That this is a massive sin. It destroys a person mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and then we'll go on to other points, how it affects them financially.
Well, I just want to go back to you just raise a really good point there, bro. So when they break ties with the father, let's just take the father for example, they also break ties with the grandparents, the uncles, the aunts, the other cousins, and so on. So now this one act is not just breaking ties with one person. So this act, which is so horrific in Islamic terms, is now you've multiplied it even more now.
Exactly.
So, and yet you claim that you love this child. You want to protect this child. I want to give this child, I want to send him to the best madrasa, to the best teachers, want him to speak Arabic, pray for all that, right? Pray in the most sweetest of tones, take him for Umrah, take him for Hajj, put the outfits on him, right? All these things. But when it comes to the crunch of it, what happens? Here we are. This is the fundamental. So you want all of these things, you'll do all of that stuff, but the basics, the very start of it is a strong relationship with their family.
100%. And again, I'm going to elaborate on this point, maybe not now, but I'm going to mention it here right now, actually. It begs the question that those mothers that do this, do you actually love your child? No, I'm asking a straight up question. Do you actually love your child? Because again, growing up and, from just what you hear, what you see, even movies and quotes such as "a mother will never abandon the child. A mother loves the child more than herself," which I believe in the majority of the cases is true. But now, from what I'm seeing, is the mother loves her ego, her anger, her narcissistic tendencies much more than the child, because, as I said before, that child for her in that situation is a tool, and she will use that tool and weaponize, as the shaykh said, to her advantage, and it's just disgusting behavior.
I've got a bit of a different take on that here, bro. My take is this: divorce is tough. Nobody's going to deny that, right? He said, she said, they said, the community talking, whispering, oh, did you hear this, that, the other? right? A whole change of, because people get divorced after, you know, a decade, if not more. All of these things, and you're quite vulnerable, I think, at that moment. And this is the moment Shaitan comes to you, I feel, and starts to whisper, just make the allegations. Say that to him. Say that he touched his daughter. Say this, say that. Oh, you'll get the house. You'll get his pension pot. You'll get the money. Then also, societally, you can tell everybody that, oh, he was a domestic abuser. They won't believe him. They'll believe you because you're a woman. Da, da, da.
If I can also add, bro, these shaitan thoughts also come in the form of toxic friends as well, and family members.
Yeah, exactly, right. So, but Shaitan comes from all different angles. Shaitan never turns up with red horns and a pitchfork and stuff, right? Shaitan turns up with a smile, right? With a drink, like it's a hot day, there gives you a bit of comfort, a bit of warmth. You're warming, there, and then it starts, right? So they come through the whisper of your friend or anything like this. People you even trust. And that's what's happening at that moment, where basically you're faced with this. Because at this moment, what's happening is you've got the decision: the ticket to Jannah or the ticket to Jahannam. Which one does Shaitan want you to take? Right? Shaitan wants you to go to Jahannam. Okay, great. So what's Shaitan going to tell you? Shaitan's going to tell you to do the thing that's going to take you to Jahannam. This is why this phenomena of fathers losing access to their kids, the sisters taking men to family court, taking their wealth, all of these things, breaking ties with not only the father, the grandmother, the grandfather, the uncle, the aunts, the cousins, and this, that, the other, all of these things, because Shaitan's laughing his head off at this point. Like, I've done my job here. Because there's no escape for you now. You're going to have to pay a hefty, hefty, hefty penalty. The lowest steps of Jahannam.
Yeah, and this kind of and I think again, this kind of like putting two together. And again, if someone can correct me, I'm more than happy to be corrected.
Yeah.
But this idea of the one who severs ties will not enter Jannah. And again, going back to what you said, bro, there's a whole queue of people that you also sever ties with: the grandparents, the uncles, the aunties.
Yeah.
There's another hadith that comes to mind, and it's the famous hadith of the muflis, where the Prophet ﷺ asked the Sahabas, do you know what a muflis is? And obviously the literal meaning is based on someone who's bankrupt.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously the Sahabas, they gave an answer based on the knowledge to basically say, yeah, Rasulullah, it's those who are rich once upon a time and then they're bankrupt. But the Prophet, he kind of corrected them in the context of basically said, no, a muflis is the one who will come on the day of judgment. And on their book of deeds, they have a lot of Quran recitations, maybe a lot of, tahajjud prayer, salah, dhikr and hajj and umrah. But then they would have taken the rights of another person. They would have backbit this person. They would have harmed that person, so on and so forth. And all those people, they will come in a queue, taking your good deeds. And once your good deeds have run out, then their sins will come onto you. So I can almost see, subhanAllah, why the hadith is like saying, that the one who severs ties will not enter Jannah. Because, as you said, you're not severing one tie. You're severing many ties. And those people, they're going to want their haqq. I missed out seeing my niece, my nephew. I missed out seeing my grandchild. So, yeah, subhanAllah.
Yeah, and this is it. And for the sisters that are watching this, I'm sure you're going to be triggered and stuff. I'll just say this. You claim to love this child or children, but you're doing the worst. You're giving them the worst start to life, because then what you're teaching them, they're going to one day replicate and do to you. That, well, if I don't need to see my dad, I don't need to see you. I can go with my wife and do what she says, and this, that, the other, and vice versa. Daughters to do it with their husbands and so on. So it can come back and bite you. So I think everybody, I think all of us need to recognize how big a sin this is. This is bigger than a pork sandwich. I keep saying this, right? Yet we have so much disgust. If we saw a Muslim tucking into a bacon sandwich, pork sandwich or something, right? We'd be like, whoa, like doing all these sorts of things.
Yeah,
But
and
yet,
I
this
think
is far
yes,
greater worse.
yeah. As you said, something example that you gave, even someone drinking alcohol or a pork sandwich, to an extent, that sin is on the individual. It affects
Yeah.
that individual mainly. But cutting off ties, it's a whole spider web of of links that you're breaking. Like I said, the father side of the family, the uncles, the aunties, the extended family. It's a whole new ball game.
Bro,
Yeah.
obviously you're more knowledgeable on the Islamic front than me. I'm a very basic novice in this, but can you just confirm this? That there is a big difference between a sin that you commit yourself, a sin between you and Allah, so like breaking Allah's law, and a sin where you've oppressed somebody else.
Yeah. I mean, subhanAllah. I mean, look. As far as I'm aware, again, I'm pretty sure on this that Allah is the most kind. We know that. Without Allah's mercy, we're all finished. So, the one who sins against himself and against Allah, there is higher hopes that they can do sincere repentance, sincere tawbah, and also tawbah has its own conditions, but Allah will eventually, Allah can forgive that person very, very easily. But as you correctly said, to sin against someone else, Allah will not forgive that person until that other person has forgiven you. And this includes, if you owe someone money, you can't just do tawbah, Allah will forgive you. You got to pay that money back if you're in debt. If you've stolen something, you got to give it back. The same applies taking someone's haqq, backbiting them, affecting them in some way, shape, or form. So, again, I always say to myself, if I'm going to sin, I'd rather sin against Allah, because inshallah Allah will forgive me for the tawbah. You have to be careful who you sin against, another human being, another person. And this even applies to non-Muslims. If you take the haqq of another non-Muslim, you will not be forgiven until that non-Muslim has forgiven you, as far as I'm aware. So you're right, bro. It's a dangerous thing to do, to sin against someone else, because like I said, then it's like Allah's made a law that person has to forgive you first before Allah can forgive you.
Well, it's good to know, and I think this is it. Everybody needs to elevate their understanding of these matters. It's just deeply disturbing that people in our own families do this, and everybody's okay with it. And then it's like when you try to speak up, like you look like like the idiot in effect, like, oh, stay out of it, nothing to do with you, da 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 da. No, it's got everything to do with the ummah. If we saw that the ummah was starting to cross themselves, like Christians, we'd be all up in arms about it. We'd be saying, no, this is haram. We've got to steer our ship and to the right path. And this is just like that, because this is destroying the ummah. People always say, oh, the young kids don't care about Islam and this, that, the other. Well, the fundamentals of the family are broken here.
Yeah.
Right? Look, marriage is a hard gig. Nobody's saying no. And you end up with the wrong person. But it doesn't mean that gives you license to conduct yourself like an oaf at divorce. In fact, if ever you want to shine and show your true character, in divorces when you show your character of fairness, and this applies to men. I'm not saying that that you got to check the women out on the streets and stuff like that. There's a part that has to be played by the men, but equally there's a part to be played by the sisters. Currently, as far as I know, from what I've seen, what I've experienced, the sisters are lacking on this front. And everybody's telling the men, listen, right? As a man, the ulama, the society, and everything will be telling Muslim men, you need to do better, right? If another Muslim man commits a sin, right, it's on all of us, like we saw with the Oldham lot and all of that stuff. Suddenly every Muslim man's underneath there. ISIS have done something, every Muslim guy, oh, this, that, the other, you're a bunch of this, that, the other. We get it in the neck. We get told. I'm telling you, sisters, if you don't believe us, trust us. We get told. If we're lacking, we get told. But nobody's telling the sisters. And take this as a wake-up call. And if you know somebody that's doing this, reach out to them, convince them, get the amana, get the hasanat, the good deed of taking them from the wrong path to the right path.
Yeah, I mean, look, my kind of closing remarks. Again, I'm going to go back to the video again, so that people don't miss the kind of takeaway. is, may Allah reward the Shaykh to make awareness that this is happening. And again, hopefully more and more speak up. But the reality is that the majority of this horrendous, haram, major sin is done by sisters. And unless we don't talk about it authentically, we want these sisters to be guided ultimately. We don't want bad for them. Because ultimately, families make societies, societies make a nation, and the nation makes the ummah. So again, this is what I said from the beginning, this is an internal problem. And we can't individualize that, I'm happy, it doesn't affect me. No, the ummah is such that, again, it's the hadith that if one part of the body feels pain, then the whole body should feel the pain. So if one part of the body or one aspect of the ummah is causing fitna, then it's going to affect overall as a whole. So that's my kind of last few remarks. Brother Ahmed, if you want to add anything else?
No, I think that's a very valid point you put there, bro. And if we join together, if we start reacting to this in the manner it deserves, then I feel as an ummah will only get better. Then I think our children will be happier, and then we're saving them from this trauma, because these children are going to be traumatized, and then they're going to carry it out, and it's going to be, and we're creating these vicious cycles. If you want to break the cycle, let's not engage in this. Let's just say, okay, look, let's just everybody be okay, be cool. Let's just do our best. Even though we've divorced, let's just do our best to raise these children with love, care, and teach them that in life things go wrong. Things do go wrong in life, but it's okay. Just make sure that we stick to being good Muslims and being decent people, and things will be okay in the long run.
Okay, inshallah. So, alhamdulillah, jazakallah for your time, bro. And we'll do this again, inshallah, and hopefully we'll have more guests. But for now, as Brother Ahmed said, may Allah guide us all. May Allah keep us on the straight path. And assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, everyone.